Hi there, this is Andrew Kay from BizCubed in Sydney, Australia. What I'm going to do here is a video on how to use Pentaho Metadata Injection to create template files for repeating common tasks or for doing some tasks that aren't quite possible with the tools. The scenario I have here is that I have a string coming in, arbitrary string, the first 10 letters of the alphabet, and I want to get various substrings of them in one set. So 1 to 3, 2 to 8, 3 to 5. So I'm coming back across them. So normally you use a fixed string input, but in this case we can't because we want to repeat these particular cuts there. It's an unusual situation, but it just so what we're going to do is use metadata injection and push it into a Java expression step to let us do what we want to do here. Anyway, the first thing we want to do here is start the target for your metadata injection. So let's create a new transformation. Okay, your transformation is a set of steps that will do stuff. They'll do stuff pretty much all at the same time. So they're not, even though it looks like you have a path going through them, the important thing is to remember is that everything is running in parallel, which is one of the great strengths of Pentaho's tooling. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to get myself a data grid in here because I'm going to put in an arbitrary space for the string. We could put this elsewhere, but I'm just going to make it as simple as I can for the moment. We say it's a variable called data. It's a string type, and it has a length of 10. And we're going to put in some data there. So we'll say A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, and we'll have another row, which is K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T. So what this will do is create a very simple set of rows with those entries in there. So if we just do a preview on this, quick launch, we'll see that we get those two rows that I just typed in as two data rows. Okay, the next thing that I'm going to add is the user-defined Java expression. So user-defined, the easiest way to do this is just to type in the name. And we'll add a hop from the data grid to the user-defined Java expression. Now I'll just mention here that a hop there is not a like an arrow in a flow chart. It's a series of, I suppose it's a buffer between the output from this one and the input from this one. So the output from this will get put into a buffer here, and then as this one is able to take it, it brings the rows in there and takes them off this one. So this user-defined expression. So this lets you put in a little bit of information about, a little formula, a little Java-based formula that can do stuff with the variables that you've created. Remembering that our variable is called data. So normally you'd sit in here and you'd say, I want to put it into this field, I want it to be called this, the expression to be this, the value is going to be string or a number or a date, how long it's going to be, these sorts of things. But because we're going to create this as a template, we're going to leave this empty, and this is going to become the target for one of our injections. Following from there, I'm actually going to add in some stuff to change my call name, so we'll use a select step. Select steps are for changing the metadata of your rows, which is information about the data that you're sending through. So what we're going to do this is to change these column names on the fly. Now normally you'd go through here and you'd be putting in your names and what you're going to change everything into. But because we're injecting, Just take that off the field. We're going to leave that empty as well. So the steps have the select and alter, which is say I want to keep these columns that have come through. Remove says I want to drop these columns. And the metadata is where you want to change things like the field name, or you want to change it to a different type, or double it up, that sort of thing. But the same thing, we're going to leave that empty. And at the end, we're going to have an output file. You'll excuse those things popping up here. CSV, oh, sorry, I want the output, which is a text file output. Text file output, put it over there. And I'm going to call it CSV out. Now this is also usable for, well, it can be a target for metadata injection, so we could leave it empty and pass stuff in, but in this case we want to have something that's very definite, so we know exactly where it is afterwards. So what we're going to do is the output that comes out of this injection will create a file called line with the date and the time in the file name, and it will be of type CSV, and it will be showing in the internal entry current directory. So that's the same directory that I'm going to save this particular file in. So if we just practice that, have a look there, it doesn't know where it's going to be saved yet, so it just thinks it's something called line. Now we'll just save this, and we'll put it into, here we'll do this desktop examples, and we'll call this inject target. And that'll get saved as a KDR. Now if we go and open this and look at the file name again, it says C uses Andrew desktop examples /line. Now you notice these slashes are going in different ways. This is because I'm using Windows in this case, and Pentaho likes to be in the Unix environment a bit better, but it's quite able to handle the slashes going in opposite directions, and it just figures it out, which is quite nice. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to use the injection data. So we're going to create another transformation which is going to be used to push the information into this particular file. So what it will do is actually create the underlying XML for the inject target file and add stuff into it, push it into the correct places, and then pass it off to the Pentaho Kettle engine to be run. So we'll just add the new transformation. So what we do here is there is a special step called a metadata injector. Here it is, ETL metadata injection. And that is going to be the target or the particular sort of step that's going to push our information into that injection target. So what we'll do here is that we will be pushing this. We'll tell it where the transformation is. So I was rather hoping it knew exactly where we want to be. Come up. Need to come up, up. So I need to be I think I may have said that much prefers to be an Oracle, and everything makes a lot more sense. There, documents and settings, users. I've been doing this since the 3.1 days. Okay, after all that, I've forgotten where I put this thing. So we'll just cancel out of that again. And we'll go and get our folder location, which was C users Android desktop examples. I'll just copy that out. Go back in here. And we will put it, we will browse and we will find our target. There we go. And it will be inject target KDR. So because we have got this target now, we can change the, on Windows it's control space. We can have a look at the internal variables here and still have the same thing, an internal entry current directory that says whatever folder I'm saved in there, look in there and see if you can find a file called inject target KDR. Now what it's done is it's read through the XML for the inject target file, and it's found the things that we put in there. So we put in a data grid, we put in user-defined Java expression, change col names, and CSV out. And what it's done there is say these are the things that you can inject data into. Now the source step and the source field are going to be the inputs we add in here that say this is the data that's going in. So at the moment I'll just go OK, because it is not a file. That's because I haven't saved this yet. So we will just call this inject data. We'll go OK, and we will save to here as inject data. And now it's a bit happy, it knows where we are. So you can use any sort of input step to get the information in and pass it into here. So we're going to keep it very simple, and we're going to add in a couple more of the data grids, which is just a way to, as I said, just to add in some constant sort of data that you're just typing in. Sometimes that's just for testing, sometimes it's really useful. So in here, in this data grid, what we're going to do is we're going to add the information for the Java expressions. So we will add 4 variables. That will be the field name, what we're going to call the substring that we're snipping out, the Java expression, Java exp, the data type of the information we're getting out, and the data length. Oops. So we'll go to the data, and this is where we're going to see some of the wonderfulness coming through. So we're going to have create some field names, and this will be, we'll call it first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and green. Now these are just arbitrary names, but these will become the new column names. Okay, our Java expressions is going to be data.substring 0 to 3. Now you might recall in the other step that we put in here, I'll just get this up. One of the nice things is you can look at the data at the same time. We'll just bring that up. We see that our variable was called data, and that's the A to J, K to T. So in here, oh my goodness, look at that typing. I'm going to have to change that name again. So in here, what we have is a formula, substring 0 to 3, that's going to be working on the field variable called data. Now we could also pass that in, but in this case we've got it predefined in inject target. It's going to be a string data type, and the data length will be 3. So we'll just copy these down, because what we're going to do is various subcuts of this. Just get rid of that extra row there. So this would be 3, 2, 6, 4, 4, 4, and 10. So go with these, and we'll set to some numbers that we have. Now, as you can guess, I have a reference document that I'm looking off, and I'm typing it as we go through here. So what I'm going to do is include that completed KDR in with the video so that you can have a look at it and change it around if you like. 6 to 10. This one is going to run from 4 to 8. From 5 to 9. And 0 to 10. So we'll join that onto that. What we're doing by adding that little hop there is saying to the util metadata injections that this is going to be a source of some of the information that we can put in here. So if we open it up now and have a look, we can look at our metadata injection step, and we can add the information in. So you can see here it's saying, oh, I can see that I have an input coming through, so which of these things do we want to put it in? So we'll figure out from here. It's going to be field value, the type is going to be data type. Now you can see all I'm doing here is just, oh, actually sorry, I don't want that to go there. And cancel, that's how you clear. That should be on the user-defined Java expression. Apologies. So the new field name is the field name. The Java expression is the Java expression. The value type is going to be data type. And the length is data length. So we don't need to set precision or replacing values because these are all new. So what is going to happen is the information that we've typed into that data step is going to be injected into the user-defined Java expression on the other one, and all the blank spots are going to be filled. So the new field name, just go OK on that, will now say first, the Java expression will be put in, the data type will be a string, and it'll have a data length of 3. Now we will just add in an extra data grid. Now this one is going to be used for putting in, we're going to change those names because first, second, third, fourth isn't particularly useful. Field, we'll call it field changes, and we'll have the name field from and field 2. So what we're going to do is just simply rename these fields. So we'll take a string, both strings, go to a data, and this is when we can start adding our names in. So we have first, and we're going to rename that to first field. So you can see it accepts spaces. Not that you should do that, because it usually open up problems for you, but it can handle it. So we'll just put in here Windows third is our fourth is better than fifth is that. And the last one was green. Now this is just random field names, and there's nothing at all to be read into their order. So we'll add that onto that. Now we'll come back here, and now we have the options to add into the change field names this extra information. So what we'll do is we'll take our meta name, the name of the field name existing. See, you can see the other grids. We'll say the field from, and we're going to rename it to field 2. We will just rename this to inject data. Oh, worst typist ever. And save. Okay, so at the moment, we'll just run it first and we'll have a look at the output. So hit there and go. And run. Oh, hates me. What went wrong? Just go. Okay, so what I failed to account for is in the CSV out, I need to specify the name of the field we want to take out of the stream and the type of the data of the stream. Now this is going to depend on the information we've passed through from the inject data step. Now I had down here we have the CSV out file and its injectable steps. So in here what we're going to do is put the field name in. It'll be field changes field 2, meaning it'll take the name of the field that we put into the field changes data grid and inject it in there as being the field name to pull out of the rows from the injected KDR. And we're going to give it the output type so that it knows what it's the data it's dealing with. Now I'm going to cheat there and reuse the data type there, but they're all strings anyway. So go through here, we'll save this again and we'll run it. There you go, success. So now what we'll do is we'll have a look at the output of the file. Edit it with Notepad. You can see that we've got the pieces of the string that have been broken down. So we'll just compare that to the values we put it in for the substring. We have the length there. ABC is 3, DE is 2, CDE, FG, H is 6, 4, 4, 4, and 10. Same thing for the other string. Now, just to demonstrate how handy this makes it, is we can sit there and go, okay, I want to have this as being 7. Bring that down to being 5. We'll save that again, run it, go back and have a look at our files again. There's our new file. And there, instead of being 6 long, like over here, CDE, FGH, it's now CDE, FG. Now, of course, that means that all this information can be passed in itself. So this thing can become injectable itself. So you can inject into this or get it from a database and pass this information in and have sort of quite sort of complex templating operations going on. I won't go through those because it'll probably blow your mind. But if you find this sort of stuff fairly easy, then it's pretty good to go at. So now just before we finish up, what I'll do is I'll show you the change here. So if you look at inject data, I'll just go and bring up the inject data KDR, and we go edit with Notepad. Oh, sorry, I don't want that one. I want the inject target. So we'll go looking for the CSV output step. Oh, what's it done? CSV out. Wait on, what did I call it? CSV out. Sorry about that. Oh, making this harder for myself, aren't I? Here we go. So here's the step for the CSV out, which is the text file output type. And we come down here, we see that the information about the output is all empty because it doesn't know what to put in there. So leave it there as something to compare against, because what we'll do is when we inject it this time, we'll go to the options and we say we want to have an output target. So the target will be same as usual, entry current directory, and then we'll call it injected.kdr. And we won't want it to run it, we just want it to, yes we do actually, we'll let it go. Save that, run. It's done. We'll go and have a look at our file there. So it created the new step as normal. Let's close that off. And here you see it has injected.kdr. So if we go there, have a look down for this. Go to the next one. We can see that our names have been added in as fields with their type and various default values. So this is actually what's happening on the fly. So once you get that in there, basically you're just creating new steps, new transformations or jobs, and you can create this on the fly, pass them off the engine, they get executed, and you can either keep a copy of it or you can throw it away. So it's, if you have a lot of really common things, like you're pulling in a lot of a lot of text files that have various sort of break lengths, you can bring them in this way and just keep passing in those names. It'll just keep handling them with different widths, different fields, different number of fields, different number of field names. As long as you keep everything matched up, you should be good. So anyway, thanks very much for that. And like I said, you should be able to get the worked example of this and download to have a fiddle with yourself. Thanks very much.